Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Wednesday Wisdom with Tradeway right here. I am Blair Nightingale. As always, we're coming to you on Wednesday afternoons with this Wednesday Wisdom series, specifically the keys to breakthrough. Keys to breakthrough. So we've been doing this series now for a little while. This will be, I believe, our eighth session. So I know there's going to be people watching this right here, right now, live, but there's also going to be those of you who are watching on the recording. So hello to everybody. If you are joining us live today, go ahead, throw a comment in the comment box. Let me know who you are, where you're from. You're joining us, Michelle or Michelle. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I see two names. Hello, I'm Bertha Bruner. So welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Exactly when I was saying it. You can post a comment right there. Let me know who you are. I know how many of you there are, but I don't necessarily know who you are. And I say this every time. I want to actually be able to connect with you a little bit. It's been really exciting hearing feedback from people. I've been receiving feedback from people as we've gone on with this series, what they are getting out of it and that they are getting impacted by it. And when you are impacted by something, something around you can get impacted. But it's got to happen to us, in us first. Kelly Dunn. I actually called you earlier today, Kelly. Welcome, Oklahoma. I was just in your neck of the woods last week up in Oklahoma. Michigan, we got Oklahoma, we got some other folks piling in here. This is so cool. You're just, people all over the country, even all over the world, can join us. And this is why that's cool. We've gone through this series. Some of you are joining today. You haven't been on the series yet. I'm going to speak into that. And some of you, you've been with us the whole way. Okay. So you know, I've given you a series of keys. Keys open locks. Keys open doors. We want to step beyond things that we feel like we've been locked out of. We want to step to the other side of doors that we have been knocking on. That's not just imagery for dramatic sake. I'm saying in our lives, we have things we want to see break through. We want to see change. I know that's true because you wouldn't be on this station right now if that wasn't true. And I've said this also multiple times. It may be finances because this is Tradeway. That makes a lot of sense. But for some of you, it's not. For some of you, it's something else. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how it may be a breakthrough in another area that actually ends up being the thing that brings breakthrough in the area you've been focusing on. I would say this right now, if I could, raise your hand. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a discovery, a moment of discovery in your life, or perhaps God has brought this into view for you at some point in your life. You're going, Blair, I was trying to get breakthrough here. I was focused on it. I was going after it, but I wasn't getting anywhere, or at least I wasn't getting enough. And then God took my view and he went, oh, over here. Or I realized, oh, what if I focused over on this thing? And in my case, I can think of some times where the Lord directed my attention over here. I was over here, and I thought, well, that's not connected at all to what I thought I needed to be doing to get that breakthrough. But he's smarter than you. He's smarter than me. He's smarter than all of us. And he knows. And so I want to help today bring some clarity to areas that we could be, and even in many cases should be focusing on. Benjamin, I see you there every time. Benjamin is always on the broadcasts, and he's always letting me know he's stoked, he's fired up, he's got the energy, and that's what we need. That's what we need. So this is the wrap session, if you will, okay? The wrap up on the keys to breakthrough. We've gone through the series. What's cool about this? You can go back anytime you want, and you can watch the whole series. You can watch the whole series again. Okay? Listen, as a financial advisor, I cannot make guarantees. about stocks, about money, about the stock market. And I'm not going to do that today, right? I can't and I won't. But what I can make a guarantee on is that if you take that energy or you use these keys to find that energy and you go through them and you employ them with zeal, not because of Blair, but because over time I have walked through these processes. And I do personally believe that it was the Lord who showed me, not that it was only me, it hasn't only been me, but he showed me that these things are essential and effective. And of course, as I've walked them out, and I've said this in every session, I need his wisdom to know which ones to use when and what it looks like. And it's not like I go around thinking, I wonder what key I should use here. Now, I could begin to think like that because I've organized them out for this series for you. But what I did was go look through my life organically, and I've gone, oh, look at all the different things that were happening that I was doing that actually partnered with God to create momentum and power and eventually breakthrough. So the guarantee is that something radical is going to shift. If you take each one of these keys, press in. If I do the same thing, this is on me. Remember the Bible says, not many of you should presume to be teachers, because you know that those who teach will be held to a higher standard. And I don't say that lightly. I've tried to be honest on here about even what's going on in my life, in my heart, my imperfections. So this isn't coming from a place of perfection, but it is coming from a place of effectiveness. I've been able to break through and I've been able to achieve a lot of things because of these keys. And my heart isn't to say what I've done. My heart is to inspire you to have something practical to know what you can do, to know what you can do in your life. Maybe some of you out there, you're working professionals, or you've had success, you've had degrees of success, but you might have a personal area or a professional area or a spiritual area where you're hitting a wall and you just need somebody to come in and be a voice and be a coach and say, this is how you can go on the offense in this area. And for some of you, these keys as a whole have been, a big deal each week. Some of you might have been like, man, I watched the whole series. It was this 1 week. One thing came out, and that's where I got some breakthrough. When something breaks in you, that's the beginning of the breakthrough. Okay, I said something on social media earlier this week. When the desire, right, for breakthrough inside of me gets stronger than the desire I have for comfort, to do things the same way, to rely on old things, when it gets greater in me than I have for those comforts, I know breakthrough is near. It's happening in here. And if that's happening and it's real, it's just a matter of time before it spills over. It spills over. So this is part of the power of these keys. And if we do this, if we press into them, man, some things are going to shift. I tell you what, you can't do these things. You can't do these things and not see change. Is it a process? Is there some things we can refine? Of course, right? I'm not saying this is the be all end all of our whole lives, but things will move. Somebody out there is going, listen, I'm getting some hope because I got some things they have not been moving. And now I've got 8. Now I've said this isn't an exhaustive list, right? But this is a powerful list of keys that I can use. I'm getting some hope because now I've got very practical things that I can begin to look at, ask about, talk about, process, pray about, make decisions, and take massive action on. Massive action on. I've worked with a lot of people, and I know this because I've done it. I was talking with somebody this morning, okay? where we get the same things for so long because we do the same things for so long. The breakthrough we most desire is so often on the other side of a decision, an activity, a choice, an effort that we do not desire, or perhaps even that we're most afraid of. The greatest breakthroughs we want are so often on the other side of the things we're most afraid of. It takes courage to press into these keys. It takes courage to make changes. Tom, I see you there. I see you there. Let's go over a couple things, okay? So if you haven't watched them all, then you'll have access to the series. Obviously, it's posted. It's for you. It's free. And that's awesome because we just want you to have this material, okay? Freely receive, freely give. So that's for you. If you haven't watched them all, I would just encourage you to go back and watch them, okay? We're talking Bible, prayer, burn the ships. I will say this quick. I know the YouTube video list is missing the burn the ships, okay? So we're looking at that. I know that's not in there right now. Bible, prayer, burn the ships, mindset, the way you think. It's an inside job. I can't change what I do until I change what I think if the wrong thoughts are driving the behavior. We try to change the behavior, change the thoughts, change the heart, and then I'll change the behavior. Mindset, get a mentor. That's just leverage. That's just upgrade. That's just power. We try to do things without adding more power to the situation. Right? It may not even be that you're not doing the right thing in whatever area you're pressing in for breakthrough. You just might need more power. How could you get more power? One practical way, get a mentor. We talked about that, some different ways to get a mentor, what it is, when it's healthy, how do I get it? How do I pursue that? What could that do for me? That's get a mentor. Community, that's another multiplier. It's very similar, a little bit different though. I use this one in my life. In fact, I recently got a major breakthrough. And the reason is because I called some men in my life together. We met every morning. I mentioned this on the community session. And we had a specific approach for going after some areas of life that we wanted to see more breakthrough. It was community. I was able to bring them together and have a synergy from encouragement and accountability and their insights. They can see what I can't see, right? So that was a multiplier for me. And it pushed me because it gave me energy that I wouldn't have had on my own. It increased my energy and I was able to push just that much further. And I got a significant breakthrough in my own heart, but also in my own finances. So that was big. Constraints. We talked about constraints. Okay, I'm going to just say this quick because some of us are like, well, what specifically, what does that mean, Blair? If you haven't watched the session, imagine a runner, running free and clear on a track, training hard. Now imagine that runner in water, neck deep, chest deep, waist deep, knee deep, even ankle deep, right? Higher the water, slower the runner. Doesn't matter how good you are at running. If you're in the water, you got to deal with the water. Some of us are waist deep in the water and we're trying to get better at running. We're not realizing I am running in a pool and this isn't working. This is not working. For some of you, that was the biggest session. That was the biggest session because you've got so many strengths and so much power and momentum is just waiting to run in your life. It's poised, it's lined up, it's set up. God's been speaking to you. He's been promising you things, right? He's faithful, he's good. And yet there are these areas that we need to deal with that are slowing us down. So the constraint is actually having more of an impact on you than the development of your strengths. That's what we talked about in that session last week. That's a huge session. Bible, prayer, that was the foundation. Burn the ships, a radical tool for you to make major shifts when things are simply not set up for success. Let me take us back to where we were at the beginning. What are we doing with these keys? Remember my friend, this was in the first session. My friend says to me, Blair, change is hard. Now, do you agree? Here's what I wish I had done. At the beginning of this whole thing, I could have polled everybody and said, okay, do you believe change is hard? Do you believe change has to be hard? Is the second question, right? Most of us would say, yeah, change is hard. I mean, it depends. Maybe there's a few changes in my life I could make that are pretty easy, and that's great. But the ones that are really meaningful, the ones we're talking about with these breakthroughs, they're hard. But do they have to be hard? So let's go back to the picture of the garden. What do we do in a garden when we're going to grow, tomato? It doesn't matter what we're growing. Let's say tomatoes. Okay, we section out an area for the garden. Okay, we cut it away. We may put a liner in there. We put fertilizer. We put moss. We might topsoil. All kinds of stuff. We till it. We approach that different ways. I'm not a gardener in that sense. Ben Mitchell, the manager at the Tradeway office, he's a gardener. He would know. It's getting the conditions right. We might put cage or fence around it. We need something for the vines to grow up on, for the tomatoes, obviously the right time of year, the right climate. All of these factors go into play so that growth can happen. You guys have heard me say this, but this is a good thing to come back to because that's what this is all about. And that's why there's more than one key. Okay, now imagine you try to do the same thing in your garage or in your closet, as I said last time. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But you got to bring in way more equipment, pay way more money, learn a whole bunch more knowledge to try and make that happen. And if you can bring all those pieces together, you can have some success there. But there's another environment that's predisposed for that kind of growth. And it takes less time, and it takes less care, and it takes less resources. That's what the keys are. That's what the keys are. It's the environment for growth. We want to look at these aspects of the environment of our lives and say, is this working for my breakthrough, or is it working against my breakthrough? Is it working for energy or against energy? Is it draining me? Is it empowering me? What God is saying to me, is that getting promoted or is that getting minimized? Is it getting partnered with or is it getting challenged? Is it getting opposed? Is it getting hidden? Is it getting attacked? So I want to change the environment of my life, just like the garden, using the keys. Using the keys, okay? And those are the keys that we went over. So as a whole, that's what these are for. That's what we're trying to do. This is a process over time. Listen, we just took these weeks. Now, obviously, we've had time in between the Wednesday broadcasts. But getting all these, this is a lifelong journey for me, right? I'm looking at all these pieces, these keys consistently. Life is changing. New goals, new challenges, new seasons, new opportunities, new desires, new callings, or at least facets of the calling revealed to me. Okay, new responsibilities, new relationships, whatever the case might be. This is ongoing. This takes time to unravel. But that's what these are for. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I can't say for you, because we've got a lot of people who come onto this broadcast. I can't say for you, this is the breakthrough. Now, I mentioned, obviously, Tradeway, I know a lot of you are looking for a breakthrough in finances. So if everybody, 100% of the people on here was looking for a breakthrough in finances, this would still apply, okay? This will apply no matter what it is. And I imagine, I'm willing to bet, that that's not the main one for everybody on here. That's not the greatest source of pain in your life. Maybe it is, but for some of you, it's not. It's something else. It's not the greatest source of pleasure in your life, right? We avoid pain. We pursue pleasure. That doesn't have to be a bad thing, by the way, pleasure. I'm not saying it's illegitimate. I'm saying the things that we want to do, the things that we want to see for ourselves, for our families, for our businesses, for our trading, for our investing, for our money, whatever. Okay? Whatever it is, here's what I want to do today. Because I don't know what that is for you. Okay? I want you to just take this concept and think about this week. Okay? Because perhaps you haven't done this before. Life tries to pull us in so many different directions. Culture pulls us in so many different directions. I think somebody called this once the tyranny of the urgent. I don't know who said that. If somebody out there has heard that before, you tell me who originally said that. The tyranny of the urgent. It comes and it just demands attention, and things are popping up all the time. And for some of us, it's like life is just, it's like a runaway dog in the park. And we're trying to keep up. And there's not clarity on what the most important thing for us to focus on is. So let me ask you a question you can think about this week. If I had breakthrough in this one area, blank, this blank area, right? If I had breakthrough that looked like blank, right? We've defined it. In that one area, it would have the single greatest impact on every other area of my life. Because what I see people do, and I certainly have done this, is I start making a list of like, okay, I mean, here's all the things I want to change. Bop, 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 bop. Not even that you're dissatisfied with your life, but you're just, maybe you are, right? That's real. And that's okay to recognize. Like, it's not the way I want it to be. I want it to change. Okay, what area? But maybe you just want to go higher. Maybe you just want to go further. I do. And if I had breakthrough, significant breakthrough, and it was blank breakthrough, it was this breakthrough in that area, okay, that area, it would have the single greatest impact on the other things that I would put on my list. Instead of doing a whole list that spreads me so thin, a mile wide, an inch deep, right? I don't actually get any momentum, any focus, any power because I'm spread too thin. If I could do this one thing, it would be this. If I could focus these keys in on that one thing, it would have the single greatest impact on the other things. And as that one falls like dominoes, I'd start to see the other ones fall as well. Boom. I get excited just saying this. Do you understand, you guys? When I'm saying this stuff week to week, I am preaching to myself. I am reminding myself. Some days I will get up and I will get in front of the mirror and I will do what I'm doing with you right now. Martha, I see you there. Hello. Martha's also been with us every week, so it's good to see these familiar faces. I'll be in front of the mirror. I'm talking to myself. This is the session on mindset. I'm not going to let all the negative junk that I've been through be the driver for the tape that plays in my head. So what do I got to do? I got to take authority, and I have a practical tool that I can use. It's called talking to myself because we're doing it anyway. We already went over this, how much self-talk you have in a day. It's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. It's going to come from truth or it's going to come from lies. It's going to come from trauma or it's going to come from Jesus. So I'm doing this, and I'm telling you, this gets me fired up because it reminds me one more time. Yes, yes, yes. If I could focus on this one area and get that breakthrough there, the other ones are going to start falling down. Instead of trying to focus on all 10. So that is my clarifying question for the folks out there today. Now, maybe you already know. Good, great. Stay on it. Stay focused there. Okay? But if you haven't considered that, I think it's a very powerful question. What's one area? What's one area? I'll tell you guys, for me, this is just for me, okay? I have pursued breakthrough on the outside of my life. But there's a session in these keys on the way I think and the way I talk to myself. Because for me, I've had to go, okay, God, I trust you with work, relationships, pursuits, career, and music and entertainment and the different things I do there, the ministry, the people I care about, all that stuff. And I am willing to allow you to shift my focus on, oh, there's some things in here you want to heal. There's some things in here you want to deal with. I don't know if anybody out there can relate, but some of the work on the outside, out there in the world, is easier than doing some of the work in here with Jesus. So I've avoided that. But that for me has been one of the dominoes. That's if I get breakthrough there, if I get more breakthrough there, it's going to be huge. And it's already showing up that way. Now, of course, that's been a process for me for years, but it's a big focus right now. One area for you, one area, if you got breakthrough there, that you could define what is the breakthrough, it would have the single greatest impact on other areas of your life. I want to talk about this too. Okay, I heard this week. This did not originally come from me in terms of this exact saying. For something to change in your life, it's going to have to come from one of two or perhaps both places. Okay, so I want to ask this second question today. Something new. Well, here's the question, I guess. Here's the question. Which season are you in? Which situation are you in? And this is a question I would take to Jesus for me personally, or ask some friends, or both. I mean, I'm going to ask Jesus, honestly. Something new needs to happen to you, or something new needs to come from you. Either way, something new needs to happen. If you want a new fruit, you got to have a new process. You got to have a new approach. You got to have a new choice. Choices change. Choices change. I understand that there's a lot of self-help, personal actualization teaching out there where it's all about me. It's all about you. It's all about us. And we're the master and commander of our own destiny. Well, obviously we don't believe that in terms of somebody who's got a life submitted to the creator, Jesus, who's greater than me. He has a plan and he's my source, which is good news because I don't have to rely on me. Now, that said, this question becomes even more important. God, am I waiting on you or are you waiting on me? That's a good question to ask. When we're in a situation where we're pressing for breakthrough and we're not seeing it, that's a good question to ask. Am I waiting on you or are you waiting on me? Am I being patient with you, who's never late? I just need to be patient. Or are you being patient with me because I don't get it yet? And I've had both. It's a good question to ask because something new needs to happen to me or something new needs to come from me. Okay? So which season am I in? So I'm going to ask that question. What's the one area? And then I'm going to ask, is this something where something needs to happen to me or something needs to come from me as I move through these keys? And as I said, I know there's a lot of teaching where it all comes down to you or me. And this is not what these keys are about. But there is incredible power, and it's God-given. It's God-given. So he's still the source where we are able to make incredibly powerful choices, and choices change. I said that already. Choices change. What do I mean by that? I mean, when we make powerful choices, powerful things happen. The keys are meant to get us in a state where we are more apt to, empowered to, courageous for new choices. And then one means the next, dominoes. There is incredible power in your choices, and these keys help you do that. So I hope as you go back, you look at the keys, you answer these two questions, you think about these questions this week, begin to apply this. You are able to get a sense of hope, okay? Get a sense of hope. Get a sense of power. Doesn't mean Blair just snaps his fingers and everything's changed tomorrow. But I have a personal conviction and power. I'm partnering with God. I've got a practical vision. I know what to do. I know where to seek when I don't know what to do. And I keep going. And I keep going and I keep going. And I've been able to overcome tremendous obstacles and accomplish some pretty great things in 36 years because of these keys. So we need to be willing to invest. Right? We need to be willing to pivot. We need to be willing to take the time to know where we're at, what we need, look at these keys. What's that area of breakthrough? And then I'll say this last. I'm getting an alert here. My computer is going to die, everybody. I should have plugged that in beforehand. If you're not plugged into the power source, we got a problem. You can run on the battery for a little while, but eventually it's going to shut down, right? That'll preach, won't it? But we're all plugged in. We're all plugged in. Maybe God's trying to say something to me right now, which is fantastic. Grateful for that. Here's the last thing I want to say on this in terms of the keys. Remember, I've said multiple times that this isn't an exhaustive list, of course. Another one we didn't go to is specifically on risk. And facing and taking risks. And change does require courage. Changing anything requires courage. And the keys will require that we make some pivots. They're manageable pivots, right? But it does require some risk. So, oh no, recharge, Martha says. Yes. It's manageable risk. It's manageable risk. So what I'm saying right now is that as you go forth, just know that I'm praying over you courage to define what you want, courage to begin to make changes, following the keys, remembering Bible, prayer. That's the foundation. That's how we do it. That's how I do it, right? And that ultimately, I think this is really important. In fact, I'm very grateful for this right now. I think ultimately we got to know I'm plugged into the power source. I'm plugged into the power source. And every one of these keys for me is built around plugging into the power source at a greater level. Okay? Let's just go back for a second. Bible, prayer, plugging into the source, the power. Not just so I can do my thing, so I can do his thing with him. Right? Burn the ships. I said that's not for everybody in every season. How do I know? Power source, the source of wisdom, God. I connect. The mindset I want God's mindset. Somebody said, I can't afford to have a thought in my mind that's not in his. That takes some work. Plugging into the power source, getting a mentor. I want a mentor who's in the place that I want to go. And where I want to go is into breakthrough. But I want it to produce kingdom fruit, godly lifestyle, right? Loving relationships. So the kind of mentor plugging me into the power source, the kind of community I surround myself with, the people I let in close are people who are connected to God, deeply connected to God. If you want deeply into my life, deeply, I'm looking for people who are deeply connected to God because that is what I'm protecting in my own life. That's where I want to go. Again, plugging into the power source. It's more power. And then constraints is really getting rid of the places where we're unplugged, internally or externally. So I think that's a good way to land the plane. Kelly, I see you there, Kelly. That's okay. I will try you again. I'm getting some comments here, some people I've been talking to. So that's great. See some familiar names and faces on here. This is all about plugging into the power source, guys. I think that's probably the best way we can land the plane here. Okay. And what I wanted to get to you in this session is, why do these things exist? What are they doing? It's the picture of the garden connecting us to growth and power. Okay. And then from there, what's the one thing I'm going to apply these and that momentum and power that I'm getting to that one thing? And strategically, that is going to spill over and give me power in other areas. Okay, that's something to consider prayerfully and processing with people in your life. Does something need to happen to you, or does something new need to happen in you, right? Does it need to come from you? Sometimes I've just had to make new choices. They were there. The empowerment from God was already there. I just wasn't paying attention to it, or I was being passive. That's me. Maybe that's you. If it is, you can change it. Martha, fitting, says, yes, power source is God. He opens doors for us. He gives us favor. Our adequacy comes from the Lord. Our identity, our value doesn't come from getting breakthroughs. We don't get a breakthrough so we can be loved by God. We don't get a breakthrough so we can be valuable. Somebody out there, maybe you need a breakthrough in a sin issue. You know, maybe that's it. That's real. Can we be real on here? That's not about your value. That's not about your value. I'm going into this right now because I want to hit on this. Somebody may need this. It's not about your value. It's about your freedom. He's already said you have value. That's not in question. What you're fighting for is the freedom that he already purchased for you. So that is what we're going after right there. So he's the power source. And sorry guys, I got some of that community I was talking about earlier peeking their heads in the door. We've got somebody leaving our community here in California today. That said, I'm going to wrap this up. That is the end of this series. We're still going to be back next week. You're going to watch because we're going to have a new series coming up. So that will be posted. You will see what we're going to do. We've got some great stuff coming up for you. I hope you got a lot out of this. And I know that if you press into it, you're going to continue to get more out of it. There's a lot here, but it takes time. Okay, it takes time. So that said, we'll see you next time. Of course, we're always on Mondays. So those faithful few who are with us every single time, we'll see you on Monday. And we just invite the rest of you to join us there for the Market Monday session as we look at what's going on in the stock market and how can we benefit you, giving you some information so you feel more powerful about what is going on. Help you get a breakthrough in that area. And maybe that's your one area. So come join us on Mondays and we'll dive into that specifically. New series next week, as I said. We'll see you then. Leave some comments, ask me some questions. I will be checking in on you guys. So please let me know anything you need. I will help you out. This is Blair Nightingale signing off for the Wednesday Wisdom with Tradeway.